The United States dominates the globe today, yet its path to supremacy was anything but guaranteed. In fact, much of this continent was overlooked for generations after Europeans first arrived. Picture a map drawn just before the late 1400s. Sailors from Scandinavia claimed they'd stumbled upon land far to the west, but cartographers assumed it was merely another island, not realizing an entire landmass waited beyond the horizon. A navigator convinced himself he could reach the Orient by heading westward across the Atlantic. Instead, he landed on tropical islands nestled in warm Caribbean waters. He expected exotic spices but found none, yet he remained certain Asia lay nearby. That's why he labelled the locals Indians, gathered valuables, and sailed home to his royal sponsors. "Your Highnesses, I've just returned from the Far East." "Excellent. Where are the spices we requested?" "We haven't located spices yet, but these territories hold abundant precious metals. Now that's more interesting. Return immediately, convert the inhabitants to our faith, and bring back every ounce of treasure you can find." Around the same time, mariners from Portugal discovered they could navigate around the southern tip of Africa to reach Asian markets. The two Iberian kingdoms drew a boundary straight down the Atlantic, agreeing that undiscovered non-Christian territories east of this meridian belonged to Portugal, while everything west went to Spain. Portuguese fleets sailed eastward and established a vast commercial network. Meanwhile, Spanish conquistadors focused on subjugating their western hemisphere. The most lucrative regions lay southward, territories filled with precious minerals and dense populations. That's where Spanish expeditions concentrated their efforts. Spain did send one exploratory mission northward in the late 1530s, but the team discovered no riches, so these northern territories remained largely ignored for decades. Empty lands attracted empty interest, until something valuable appeared. Interestingly, English explorers had surveyed the northern coastline even before Spain reached certain Caribbean territories, more than a decade before Florida was claimed. Yet England waited nearly a century before attempting permanent settlement. The first English outpost appeared along the Carolina coast in the mid-1580s, but war erupted with Spain that same year, and the colonists vanished without explanation. A second attempt at a different location succeeded. Next came religious separatists who established a settlement farther north, creating strict communities that banned activities like dice games and winter holiday celebrations. Immigration surged, and soon the eastern seaboard filled with British colonial towns. Meanwhile, French explorers claimed the continent's interior heartland. By the mid-1750s, tensions over territorial control sparked armed conflict. New France counted roughly 60,000 inhabitants, so they allied with indigenous nations for military support, hence the war's name. The British colonies boasted over 1 million residents and also formed alliances with native tribes. The outcome? British forces triumphed. Simultaneously, a major European conflict raged overseas. When both wars concluded, borders were redrawn dramatically. France transferred half of Louisiana to Spain before defeat became certain, preventing Britain from claiming it. After the peace treaty, France surrendered the remaining Louisiana territory and Canada to Britain. Britain now controlled enormous North American lands but faced crushing war debts. Colonies, regarding that costly conflict, we helped you win. Yes, we appreciate the assistance. Glad to help. Now we'll be imposing substantial taxes to cover our military expenses. What? You rarely assist us. We constantly support you. And how can you tax us without representation in Parliament? Colonists resented the new levies. Disagreements escalated into skirmishes, then outright rebellion. On a summer day in 1776, Americans proclaimed independence from British rule. Did this declaration instantly create the United States? Not exactly. 5 more years of warfare passed before victory was secured. After winning freedom, they faced a new crisis. The government they'd created functioned poorly. The 13 former colonies had essentially become 13 separate nations, united only in name. The young republic teetered on collapse. Founding leaders drafted a new constitution, building a functioning federal system. When 9 states ratified the document, it became binding. In 1789, the first president took office. But the nation remained relatively small, while Spain controlled vast western lands. How did territorial expansion happen? Across the Atlantic, a military genius seized control in France and began conquering Europe. He also dreamed of building a new world empire, negotiating with Spain to reclaim Louisiana. Americans depended on the Mississippi for commerce and feared what this ambitious leader might do, controlling such a strategic waterway. So America offered to purchase a key port city. You understand my vision for a grand North American dominion. However, I must now focus on invading Britain. We'll build our Western Empire after defeating the British. But if the Americans discover our territorial ambitions, they'll side with Britain, which could prove catastrophic. Yet if we sell Louisiana to the Americans, we'll secure their friendship permanently and weaken Britain. It seems unwise to sell our largest holding when the Americans only want one city. Enough debate. My decision is final. We'll sell everything. The funds will finance our British campaign. Ambition reshaped borders faster than armies ever could. America acquired Louisiana for $15 million, instantly doubling national size. Perfect timing, since the population nearly doubled every 2 decades. Average families raised 7 children back then, and those kids needed homesteads. So countless Americans migrated westward where unclaimed land stretched endlessly. Does anyone possess this territory? Of course not. Wonderful, because it's mine now. But these are my ancestral hunting grounds. Your grammar needs improvement. You should say these were your hunting grounds. In 1819, America purchased Florida from Spain and agreed to a boundary line separating American and Spanish territories. 2 years later, Mexico achieved independence, giving America a new southern neighbor. Mexico's northern regions were sparsely inhabited and hard to govern, so the government encouraged American settlement in one particular territory. These settlers soon outnumbered Mexicans, and before long, they declared independence, forming their own republic. Yeehaw, we want statehood. Do you practice slavery? Absolutely, and we're proud of it. Sorry, we're not accepting more slave states currently. Folks, I'm president now, and this territory is ours. In 1845, America reversed course and admitted the Republic as a state. Border disputes triggered war with Mexico. When fighting ended, the United States paid $15 million and acquired Mexico's northern provinces the president desired. 5 years later, America bought additional Mexican land for $10 million. Britain simultaneously agreed to divide the Oregon Territory along a specific latitude, keeping everything northward. Within 50 years of fortunate negotiations and one brutal Mexican conflict, America spanned coast to coast. Expansion seemed complete, unless... Greetings, Uncle Sam. I've discovered an uninhabited island in the middle of the ocean. May I claim it? We might need that for a future global conflict. Does anyone reside there? No, sir. Is it covered in bird excrement? Yes, sir. Congratulations. You're standing on American soil. Actually, sir, I wouldn't describe this as soil. Incidentally, that legislation remains active. So if you're tired of excessive rent, locate yourself an island to occupy. Everything seemed prosperous. Right after acquiring California, news spread that gold had been discovered, and thousands rushed westward to extract it. In the Oregon Territory, free farmland attracted settlers. The nation prospered with peaceful borders, but a profound internal problem festered: slavery. Northern states had outlawed the practice, with many viewing it as a moral abomination requiring elimination. Southern states depended economically on enslaved labor. Americans had debated slavery for decades, but crisis erupted when a particular president won election in 1860. Many Southerners believed he would abolish slavery, so most slave states seceded and formed a separate nation. Civil war erupted. Countless lives were lost. The North prevailed, enslaved people gained freedom, and the Union was restored. I'm saddened by the president's assassination. Yes, another assassin attacked me that same night, but I survived the stabbing. How horrific. I mean, horrific that you were attacked, but I'm relieved you survived. By the way, the Russian Tsar wishes America to acquire Alaska. What can you offer? Perhaps 5 million, maybe 5.5, but no more. What about 7 million? Certainly. Excellent. I have authorization for 7 million. We'll finalize the treaty tomorrow. Can we complete it tonight? I should have negotiated harder. Now America possessed another enormous territory. It just needed some tropical islands. Conveniently, American entrepreneurs had gained control of a Pacific archipelago and requested annexation, but the president refused. He believed America must be a righteous nation that never exploits its power to dominate the vulnerable. Others worried that if America remained uninvolved, rival powers like Germany or Japan would seize the islands and use them as staging grounds for future attacks. Should America mind its own affairs or protect its own interests? America's isolationist policy faced testing because trouble was brewing in Cuba, and it wasn't coffee. Cuba fought for independence. Nearly all of Spain's other colonies had already broken free after American and French revolutions, but Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines remained Spanish possessions. The Cuban independence struggle dominated American newspapers, and most Americans sympathized with the rebels. In 1898, after an American battleship sank mysteriously, the US demanded Spain withdraw from Cuba or face consequences. Spain declared war instead. The United States quickly captured Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines, effectively ending what remained of the Spanish Empire that had begun centuries earlier with Columbus. During this conflict, the US also annexed Hawaii, which was becoming strategically important for naval operations. After the war, the president was assassinated, so a young, energetic vice president unexpectedly assumed leadership. Colombia, we wish to construct a canal through your territory here. Agreed, just pay us $10 million. Deal. Actually, we've reconsidered. You cannot build a canal. What? But we made an agreement. Apologies. Panama, welcome to nationhood. We want to build a canal here. Certainly. Proceed. During this presidency, America built the world's second-largest naval fleet and used this military strength to shape international affairs. Americans completed the canal in 1914, enabling the powerful US Navy to transit rapidly between two oceans. America had become a global power, and World War I had just begun. If you enjoyed this deep dive into how America rose from ignored territory to world superpower, please hit that like button for wins of thought and subscribe, so I know to create more stories like this. Want to explore what happened next? Check out the next episode right here. I'll include additional historical notes and clarifications in the description below. See you in the next one.